Now, a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of sharing a stage with the newly announced West Australian of the Year, Paul Litherland. After 5 years as a police officer working in the Technology Crime Unit, Paul branched out on his own and he founded Surf Online Safe to educate teachers and students and parents about internet awareness and safety. And he is, as you might imagine, in very high demand, particularly with the release of a survey of more than 16,000 Western Australian school kids from Year 4 to Year 12 on behalf of the Commissioner for Children and Young People. And this is what it revealed. And I would like you to talk to me today to tell me if this is what's going on at your place. You, your kids, the cyber experience. And I'm asking you as parents, how do you think it's impacting on who they are, how they see the world, and their happiness? Have a listen to Paul and then tell me what you think. The survey revealed that 45% of them are in regular contact online with someone they have never met. Many declared how vulnerable they feel without access to their phones. More of them are receiving unwanted sexual material in the form of messages and images or pornographic videos. Nearly a third of female high school students considered themselves overweight. And 1 in 3 declared they'd been bullied or cyberbullied or both. A little insight into what it might be like to be a kid aged between, let's say, 9 and 17. So today on Drive, tell me about the relationship your kids have with their phones and their technology. And do know, whatever you might tell me, it's not going to be unfamiliar to my guest, Paul Litherland. Paul, good afternoon to you.
Hi, Geoff. How are you, mate?
Yeah, really good, Paul. Where do I find you this afternoon, Paul?
Actually, Lower Chittering. I'm just up at Immaculate Heart College today, and I've got a parent session this evening. So you've got me sitting in a lovely car park, sitting overlooking the chapel, and it's still quite warm, mate. But yeah, busy boy.
What will be the nature of the message to those parents later today?
Oh, wow. Again, it's for me, it's especially coming out of this report we're looking at today, and the fact that just continuing to raise that awareness in regards to where our kids are going online and the risks they are taking, and more importantly, just really continuing to build that communication as often as we can with our kids in regards to the risks that they are taking. Yeah, so that's one of the big things for me tonight, and pretty much for every parent session I'm doing at the moment.
How concerning is it that 45% of those students surveyed say they spend time online with someone they've never met? Now, does it matter that I might not know the kid I'm gaming with who happens to live in Sweden? I need a bit of context and perspective here.
Yeah, and we're seeing that a lot. I mean, especially in regards to gaming, Geoff. I mean, the trend in regards to interacting with randoms through those environments is huge, and I even said today to the kids at Immaculate Heart, saying, look, I make a statement, kids, you can't really play an online game in 2021 and have the best fun without actually talking to a random or a stranger, and a lot of kids put their hand up to say that they agree with that statement. So this is where it gets so very difficult, because for so long we've been talking to our kids about stranger danger and don't talk to strangers, but a lot of the environments, gaming environments in particular, that are being created are it's almost entrapment. They're almost encouraging our children to do that. So this is where those conversations are so important. And yes, it would be easy to sit down and go, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. But in reality, so many of our kids are doing that. So it's just trying to get that education and awareness out there as often as we can.
Yeah, but if I'm a 12-year-old and I'm playing this game and someone I know is playing in Sweden and I'm interacting with them, I'm thinking this is so cool because we're having this great gaming fun across the globe. So on one hand, I can see that there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So for some context, how much predatory behaviour might those students also be vulnerable to?
It is relatively low, and you're so correct in regards to those interactions with positive interactions with kids all around the globe. And this is where I think a lot of people sort of get caught up in that world. Oh, it's too dangerous, nup. But a 13-year-old kid or a 12-year-old kid can say have an interaction online with another gamer, as long as they're keeping their information guarded. that can be a great opportunity for them to learn and grow. But the problem we have, like any situation, even when we were kids, Geoff, predators would hang around where kids hang around. So there's always going to be those vulnerabilities. Is it as high as some people make out? I don't believe so. But what I believe the catalyst is not so much there's more predators out there. I just think that the people who are online who do have those, I suppose, nefarious intents, there's more there's more access to more kids than there ever has been in the past.
Okay, yeah,
So
completely
that's
understand.
the issue.
Yeah, Paul Litherland is the West Australian of the Year. He's a cyber safety trainer and advocate. After 5 o'clock, we'd like to take some of your calls too about your kids and their relationship to their phone and their technology and how you feel about it and how you manage it. Just looking at this research, Paul, fair to say some of those kids are seeing or are being sent more pornography than any generation before them?
Yeah, and that's happening sort of more and more just on a random basis as well. And sadly, I mean, it's good to see this research come out because I survey a lot of my kids as well, Geoff. I mean, I survey year 6s, year 7s, year 9s and year 11s quite regularly. So I get very confident, I suppose, and very proud that I'm in the right area when other professional organisations marry those or match up with those sort of stats. So, yeah, 36% of girls, almost to 42% of girls now are actually getting just sent random nudes. And that can be from not only from their peers at school, or if they have public accounts on social networking such as Snapchat or Instagram, just from random dodgy or deviants around the world. So that is increasing significantly across many of our platforms, and that's a big concern for parents.
When you talk to parents, I mean, I'm very much of the view that this is an area that parents, I reckon, have to wade in, particularly if we're looking at pornography. If it it is still incumbent on parents to be talking to their kids about consent and violence against girls and women and notions of entitlement. That sex education message has to be there to kind of counter some of the stuff that kids can access these days.
Yeah, and that's got to be a constant conversation. And I just spoke with the group of year 8, 9 and 10 students this afternoon about that risk. So often our juniors in particular online are making errors of judgment, not because they're silly, it's because they're kids. But the internet doesn't give you a chance to stuff up or pull back from those stuff-ups, mate. So this is why that education, constant education in regards to how far stuff can go is so important, because kids have their phones with them constantly, and that's reflected in this report. And a kid can be caught up in a moment where or any person online can be making an error of judgment, and pulling back from that is so difficult because once something's out there, it stays out there. So trying to understand that sometimes as parents who didn't come from that era is difficult to get through them. But once you hit the right spots and get those conversations occurring, it's starting to make a difference, I believe, especially not only myself but other educators across the country.
ABC Radio Perth on this Wednesday afternoon. You're with Geoff. This is Drive at 5 minutes to 5. You're also listening to our recently acclaimed, I don't think he gets crowned because you don't get a crown. He's the West Australian of the Year, Paul Litherland. He's also a cyber safety trainer and educator. Just a few more things before we get to 5 o'clock, and I'd really love some feedback after 5 o'clock from parents who are perhaps thinking about their own kids and what they know of their own kids in this space. An apology to those people who hate me referring to kids as kids, but I do, and I always will. The research tells us, Paul, that kids feel anxious without their phones. Well, there's nothing new to you there, I would think. Do you reckon those more strict policies at schools have worked? The idea that kids are more focused on tasks at hand at school because they don't have access to their phones during lesson time?
Yeah, I knew it was going to sort of be difficult at the first stage because it is difficult for kids to go without their devices. But if schools and even parents at home are starting to be more vigilant in regards to that, then I'm starting to see a real shift in the fact that they're more likely to be more comfortable without their device. So and of course, some kids, like all percentages of all society, will still go through those issues where they'll hide a phone, stick it in a shirt, or stick it down a belt. But in reality, giving them opportunity, and this is where trying to push to the kids to self-police that themselves, to just take time to put down a device. I'm starting to see some really good positives in regards to that. So kids are being more resilient, and I think that's been reflected quite well in this survey as well, mate, in the fact that kids are now being more responsive in regards to parents putting things in place in regards to control, in regards to talking to parents about issues they're going through, and taking the time to actually go, you know what, I might just pop this thing on the counter for a bit, go out and kick the footy, or poke my sister in the eye, or whatever they want to do.
I'm sorry, we don't endorse the poking of sisters in the eye. Now, we're nearly at 5 o'clock, Paul. I just want to put this to you as well. Do you reckon, and that's positive news. I like hearing that they're becoming a little bit more resilient rather than just sort of enslaved by the wonders of technology. And let us be in no doubt too, there are plenty of 70-year-olds who are enslaved by the same technology once everyone learned how to use it. Do you reckon those kids are better equipped and educated today to recognise and respond to being bullied online? This is the thing that really sort of has a lot of parents worried, doesn't it? Why, why is my child becoming withdrawn? Why can't I have the conversation? The phone in the bedroom after lights out might open a world of exciting opportunity, but it can be a pretty scary place too. Do you think kids are getting better at knowing how to either respond to bullying or know that you just don't do it?
Yes and no to a degree, mate.
Yeah.
I'm finding that victims are still struggling at time because a lot of them won't speak up. They won't tell parents. They're worried they're going to lose devices, or they're worried that things are going to escalate. But a trend that I've noticed quite significantly over probably the last 2 to 3 years, which is a positive, is many of the peers of those who are going through bullying are starting to speak up in defence of them. Their mates who are going through it. So we never really saw that for a while. We started to say, oh, thank God that's not me being picked on.
Yes.
So especially with young girls, they're starting to really respond to those who are getting picked on. They're calling out those behaviours, and they're being more defensive of their peers. So that is a great positive, because that peer support adds so much strength to a victim of bullying, because they're going to have that power to I suppose, spend time with those people who are helping them out, and more importantly, those who are doing the bullying are getting called out more often, and we're starting to see a sort of a trend in regards to it's not happening for as longer periods for so much severe length of time.
It is great to hear from you, Paul. Thank you very much. Paul Litherland, with his observations about this research about you and your kids and their technology. 1300 222 720. How are you going at your place? How are you managing it? We'll talk